Next up, I'd like you to discuss the story of today, which is Hills Like White Elephants by Ernest Hemingway. Um, I don't know if Katie is here today to present it, and so if she is, then option one is for Katie to take charge and lead the conversation about Hills Like White Elephants. If she's not, then I'd like to have a new system in place for discussing stories and poems and nonfiction pieces. I'm sort of feeling like the one person gets up in front of the class and gives a very short lecture on this person is not as engaging and not as meaningful as it could be. It's not as sort of interactive. So I tried something with the other class the other day, and I think it helped. And the idea is this. The person is still going to get up to read the story, become an expert, give a little background information, biographical about the writer. That's step one. Step two, though, is going to be, instead of like coming up with things to say about the piece, you're going to come up with questions to ask about the piece. And those questions are open-ended. They're not sort of like, what was the name of the character who said this? Because that would lead to a very short and meaningless conversation. If you go to the fiction folder, and then you go to PowerPoints, recordings, resources, etc., you'll see that there are a couple of discussion question examples. And I did them for the first two stories, or really the story that Oscar presented on last time, The School, and also today's story, Hills Like White Elephants. So you can see the kind of open-ended questions that I want you to discuss with the people at your table. So if Katie's here, great. Katie is the ringmaster. If she's not, in your tables, when I'm done talking, please talk about all of these questions. And also, just as you're thinking about this specific to this story, think about the questions themselves and how you could come up with these kind of open-ended questions that hopefully after you talk about them are going to lead to a deeper understanding of what Hemingway was doing or what up here Barthelme was doing. That's the deal. The other thing, which I'm going to surprise you all with, is that I want to create a library of audio stories and poems. So now part of your presentation obligations, starting next time after Katie, is that I'm going to ask you to read and record the story. Connor did this with The School, and I encourage you all to listen to it because he sounds like James Earl Jones. He sounds like a professional audiobook recording person. And I'm imagining if for the shorter stuff, we can't do this with the longer stuff, but for the shorter stuff, and today's story is pretty short, I'd like to play that as you all read along with it, and then also to create a library ultimately of all the stuff that we read. So to summarize, step one, Katie, or nobody, or somebody who quickly Googles Ernest Hemingway and Hills Like White Elephants, is going to give a little background information. Step two, we're going to listen to the story. If there isn't a recording of it in the folder here by tomorrow, then someone can just read it out loud in class. Step three, look at the discussion questions. If Katie has her own, use those. If not, use mine. And talk about them in your group. When you're done talking as a class, come together and sort of debrief, talk about what you talked about and sort of help each other understand what makes the story so good. This story is super famous. Any I don't know, anyone who's read any Ernest Hemingway knows it feels like White Elephants. And ultimately, the final two questions that are on every list here, what generally makes a story so awesome and what technique can you rip off? Those are really what I'm after for you so that you can sort of take the great genius that Ernest Hemingway figured out and mastered and apply it to your own writings. All right, sorry for rambling. Not really, though. I do like to hear my own voice. On your mark, get set, go.